Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime Symbol, and today I'm going to be giving you part 3 of What If Naruto Was Neglected with Chaos Magic, guys. Remember to get this one too 100 like as usual, share this to all of your friends on your social media platform, and also guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the final episode of What If Naruto Was an Uchiha that created his own village, and enjoy that, guys. But don't be upset because you already know new what ifs are coming soon for you guys to enjoy. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy. So without further ado or wasting any more time, how about we jump right into this brand new episode? Let us begin now, guys. So, a little bit of a recap from the last part that we left off. Naruto was placed on Team 7 as Sakura was pretty worried. Her parents even had some complaints, but they were assured by Minato that Naruto would be kept in line, and he was also assuring them of their daughter's safety, giving Naruto a curse that seemed to follow him every single where he went. However, Minato come to learn that it was something that he could now control. Naruto arrived as he started to mess with Sakura, teasing her, as she found it rather unpleasing looking away from him. When Sasuke arrived, he immediately glared at Naruto. Naruto had said something that pissed him off in the past. It was about his mother. It was right after the Uchiha massacre, when an argument sprung between the two, and Naruto said those words that made Sasuke wanted to end his life. So Sasuke despised him, not to mention Sasuke was friends with Menma, and Kushina had been good to him after everything that he lost, and the fact that that demon, that abomination, tried to end their life. Sasuke hated him. Kakashi arrived on the field. As he told them about the tests, he told them to come at him with the intention to kill, otherwise they would fail. Hearing that, Naruto started to chuckle, as he released an obscene amount of power, stopping everyone in their tracks. Everyone was confused, as it started to spread. The natural order, throwing balance out of whack, throwing chaos into everything. Naruto started to affect the entire place, as he started to emit chaos from his very depth and being. It was violent, as he attacked Kakashi with speeds that shocked the man. Naruto was able to slash him across the face. He then proceeded to taste his blood. Kakashi was unaware that Naruto infected his blood right there and then. Kakashi started to see images of his dead teammates rising from the ground. First Ren Nahara, then Obito Uchiha. He was scared out of his mind as he dropped to the ground. It was then that Naruto started to pull the very essence of chaos together in a visual energy form. As he launched it, Kakashi tried to escape, but he was caught up in the blast. When the Anvus arrived, they point their weapons at Naruto, not just in him. They already despised him because of the members that died. Good members because of that boy, and he didn't give a damn. Naruto was reprimanded by many about his actions against Kakashi. However, he stood solid. Kakashi did say to come at him with the intent to kill, so if anything, he was just being a real loyal student. Minato didn't have anything to say about that, as Naruto questioned him in hating him so much that he didn't see that he was in the wrong. Minato proceeded to leave. After discussing with Kakashi, they came on a rather surprising feat that Naruto was able to perform. For him to generate that amount of power, this wasn't normal. So Minato allowed Kakashi to take them on as a team, as Naruto would be one of the main targets on this team for him to watch and keep his guard up around him. It took a few weeks for him to get out of the hospital because he was damaged pretty badly. Over the next following weeks, there was nothing but harmony and peace. Yes, Naruto was the most talented and grateful student, doing everything that he was told, with a smile on his face, which was rather concerning. This didn't seem like him at all. Kushin has started to felt pity for him, as Minato was the one to tell her to stay away, that he was a monster and he couldn't be trusted. The last time she let her guard down, he tried to end her life. But despite that, the fact that he was still her son was still there, as she even sent something for him through his very lovely caretaker who insulted him. As Kushina could not face him because she probably might break down. Once again, Naruto came across Ino and teased her. As a fire daimyo wife, Cat escaped. Upon bringing the cat back and heading back towards the capital, the cat had attacked the woman and bit her and ripped her throat out. As they had grabbed her and rushed away towards the nearest infirmary, Minato knew that Naruto was behind this, but he could not prove it. Once he was gone, Naruto exhaled dark smoke that could not be seen by anyone but himself, as he had the soul of the cat right in his palm. Of course, he was the one behind it. They finally got a mission outside of the village, as they wanted to see the limitations that Naruto possessed, and he was being constantly watched as well. So with that, they headed off. Coming across the demon brothers, Naruto was ruthless, as he inflicted wounds and pain on them, marking and cursing the both of them. Sakura turned green as she almost threw up. However, they decided to head on with the mission. They came across Zabuza Momochi, as a battle engaged between him and Kakashi, until Naruto freed him. Naruto brought the soul of the cat once again, but this time, it was completely different. No longer the soul of the animal, but he corrupted it with chaos, making it stronger, larger, and vastly more powerful. As everything was problematic and chaotic, as Naruto told the beast to attack, Zabuza found himself being pressed hard. As Naruto smirked at him, he was about to show him what was the real definition of a monster. As he was called a demon, it was about time that he showed him what a true demon was. So yeah guys, basically that's where we left off. You guys can switch across the play check of yourself so to begin this new episode. The atmosphere was thick and tense, as everyone was feeling the sensation of dread, the terrible feeling that rolled off of Naruto as he stood there, with a smile on his face, exposing all of his teeth. Zabuza was sweating and cursing as he could not pry his own blade out of his hands. The moment Naruto tossed it back to him and he caught it, the thing seemed to be fused to his very skin, as he could not release the damn thing. As much as he struggled, as much as he pulled, it just wasn't working. Zabuza was getting furious as Naruto started to slowly advance towards him. You seem to be having some trouble. Would you desire some help? Naruto asks. Upon saying that, Zabuza gritted his teeth as he dropped to one knee. Something slithered from the blade handle. Naruto had placed his blood on the blade. The single drop of blood, it turned into a snake, a red serpent that shoot up Zabuza's arm. Zabuza was able to free himself as the blade was no longer stuck to his hand. However, the snake wrapped around his throat. He reached up as he tried to pry it off, but the moment his hand touched it, spikes, black thorny spikes released from it and stabbed into his palm. He had to move his arm away. However, his body slowly started to sway as ever oxygen was cut away from him. He could not breathe. Zabuza fell down to both of his knees this time, having a hard time breathing, gathering any semblance of air. His face started to turn blue. It was at that very moment that someone materialized beside him with incredible speed, immediately puncturing the snake with several senbons. Unfortunately though, the snake was not a living being itself that would experience pain enough to release Zabuza. Realizing that, they immediately gripped onto it, crying out in pain as the thorns ripped into the palm of their flesh. They did not stop though as they pry, as they were tearing it off. Kakashi rushed forward, however Naruto held his hand out, stopping the man. "Don't interrupt the show," he said. "After all, you wouldn't want to be caught up in it." "In what?" said Kakashi. "Just watch." The hunter nin felt the grip loosen and immediately tug, which was a grievous mistake. The eyes of the ninja widened as Zabuza's head was removed. The snake wasn't only strangling him, it was biting through his neck. The bottom of the snake had a row of sharp teeth. If there was anything that was chaos and abomination itself, it was that slippery animal. Naruto stepped forward with a smile as the hunter ninja was petrified. "I was wondering when you were going to show yourself." The snake fell down to the ground as the hunter nin still did not move. His real name was Haku, and Haku just lost the most important person in his entire life, and it had taken a grave toll on him. His body stiffened. "Perhaps if you had made another move, your partner would have still been alive," Naruto whispered. "However, it was your fault. You killed your partner," Naruto said. Slowly but surely, Haku's defenses started to break because of his mental state breaking down, allowing Naruto to tamper with his mind. As Naruto licked his lips upon starting to see visuals, Kakashi and the others had still not engaged, as the serpent on the ground was moving around, circling them. As the thing was getting larger and larger, almost like it was feeding, but there was nothing there for it to feed on, except for what it just did to Zabuza, as Naruto was now standing directly behind Haku, who still had not moved just yet. "You killed him. From what I'm seeing," Naruto said, resting a hand on Haku's shoulder. "He meant so much to you, and you ended his life because of your mistake. After all you've been through, after all you two have done, and now he's dead by your hands because you failed to jump in earlier. You failed to make a move. You failed to protect him." Kakashi knew that he should make a move right now, but just like earlier with the Demon Brothers, he wanted to see just truly what Naruto was capable of, and what he was doing, and how far he would push this. And another reason, as he gazed down towards the ground, that serpent was eyeing him. As the thing had eyes that looked similar to Naruto's, and it was just staring at him. Its body had grown significantly, surrounding the two. Kakashi had to put a stop to Sasuke from intervening, not trusting that animal on the ground, seeing what it just did to Momochi. Meanwhile, Naruto was busy whispering into Haku's ear, causing Haku to break down more and more as Naruto pulled a kunai out. Haku shaking hands as Naruto placed it right in the center of his palm. "You can't live in a world like this without the one person that you desire the most. There is no point. There is no hope. Your actions are justified. You claimed his life. He was your master. You cared everything for him. Your whole life revolved around his. But now he's gone. What's the point? Haku started to see dreadful images as Zabuza started to curse at him. That is when the head on the ground suddenly reattached to the corpse. Haku, Zabuza said, as his head was leaning, showing the gap that was there. How could you do this to me? He cried out to Haku. He tried to say something, but Zabuzak rushed and grabbed him. You are my tool. You were supposed to die for me, but you ended my life. And now you have no more purpose. You are nothing. Just an empty shell of misery and pain and anguish. And you ended the one person that actually cared about you, that gave you hope. Now you have no one left. No one precious, nothing at all. Do it. There is nothing left for you in this world. Do it! Zabuza screamed through blurry eyes that were filled with tears. Haku gripped the kunai and thrust it upwards. Naruto stood there with a smile as he watched the body crumble in front of him. Once again licking his lips, rather happy, as now the two corpses were on the ground. What Haku was seeing was all done by Naruto, of course. And now, Naruto turned his gaze, facing Team 7. The only one that was able to witness all of that was Kakashi, as Naruto smiled at him, the serpent that reached up to Naruto's waist while lying down, proceeded to swallow the corpses that were lying there. As Naruto held his arm out, and the thing crashed into his chest. It seems like it exploded in flames, because it flamed into Naruto's body, fusing into him. As Naruto chuckled as it did so. Once it was done though, he stepped forward, picking up the massive blade. Upon picking it up, it started to crack. Red lines started to appear on said blade. However, it seemed to be glowing with flames. The blade even shrunk to a more comfortable size, as it started to change completely. The head of the hilt was now shaped like the head of the snake, as Naruto twirled it around a couple of times. He stepped to Kakashi as he placed the blade on his back, tying the strap around his waist. He made his way towards the man. Well, I guess we all came out of this in one piece, and we defeated the enemy, he said, his mood seeming like an average genin. However, Kakashi was not able to see it as such. What the hell is going on, Sasuke said, having told to remain where he was by Kakashi, and having no idea of what had taken place. Well, the enemies are all taken care of. We can now head to your home, he said, looking to Tazuna, who breathed a sigh of relief. Kakashi had still not said a word, as he just watched Naruto. He was horrified by what he just witnessed. What Naruto made the hunter do, with just his words alone. Minato was right, and there was no doubt about it. This child wasn't all human. Time skip. Arriving there, Naruto was the most kindest person, speaking to Tsunami and speaking to her son Iniri. Even after Iniri lost his cool, Naruto spoke to the boy and told him that they were here to help them, to save them. Kakashi couldn't understand, as he wondered if Naruto was bipolar, if another personality takes over when he fights, because this was not the ruthless, conniving person that he saw, that made someone end their own life. Just what the hell was going on? He couldn't understand. The personality, it made no sense. The realization, the helpfulness, it made no sense to him. It was indeed the same person that he had been talking to. Nothing had changed, nothing at all. But his personality seemed to be completely different. While that was going on, Gato was gathering all of his men, as he had no idea what happened to Zabuza, or his little apprentice or the other two. Frankly, he did not care. He wasn't planning to pay them to begin with. He decided to end this once and for all by gathering all of his men. The first thing that they were going to do, they were going to kill the bridge builder, and then the town will be his. It was before schedule. Kakashi decided to make Naruto accompany him, while Sakura and Sasuke were back, training, learning the tree walking, because surprisingly, Naruto did not need that, because he already knew it. How? He didn't explain. Minato was not the one that taught him, Kakashi was sure about that, but the child already knew the technique, so Kakashi decided to make Naruto accompany him, as he was picking his brain to understand him more, to understand his abilities, to understand everything that he could do. Naruto was rather open with him. As the builders got to work, he even started to help, once again throwing Kakashi off to the ruthless person that he saw when they first arrived here. Unfortunately though, there was a lot of boats that started dock on the opposite side, climbing up the broken end of the bridge. Immediately they started to run. Kakashi told them all to move back, as he dashed forward and deflected the few kunais that those in the crowd possess. Gato wanted them to make us skeptical. He wanted to break the village once and for all. No more hope, no more survival. As he arrived, the man was shorter than expected, as Naruto and Kakashi stood there, gazing at him. He seemed pissed off already, as he noticed their headbands. Konoha, huh? I have no problem with your village, or you ninjas. However, ninjas are just tools to be bought. So, whatever the old man is paying you, I'll pay you double to leave here and not look back. Kakashi started to give out orders to the builders as they started to left the bridge. He told Tazuna to head back home immediately and informed the other two, as they would protect him. He wouldn't allow any of the bandits to pass this area. As Naruto started to engage Gato, talking wise. Unfortunately, we have our honor and our code, so we can't do that. Gato chuckled. You're just a brat, so you wouldn't know, but ninjas are nothing but tools to be used by people like us, and all ninjas possess a price. So, tell your teacher over there to name his price, and let's get this over with. As the bridge builder and the others were gone, Naruto turned towards Kakashi. There's no need for you to get involved. I'll handle this, alright? He didn't wait on a response, as Naruto bit into his palm, both of his hands. He then wiped his own blood down his face, as he started to mutter under his breath. Order, balance, perfection, unification, and then corruption, off balance, chaos, destruction, malice, death, and destruction, he muttered to himself. When he opened his eyes, they were glowing, as they became so red. It was like there were beams coming from his eyes, but there were none. The iris of his eyes, though, they became pitch black, as Naruto tilted his head at a handle that made it seem like his neck broke, but it wasn't the case. Naruto then drove his own skull into the bridge. Kakashi was about to say something, but before he could, the very air and space started to break as Naruto's head broke through the bridge. Kakashi noticed that the wood did not break. So what broke then? Kakashi then noticed a space around Gato and his man started to shatter. The air itself started to rupture, showing a pitch black darkness with a red fluctuation going through it. Laughter started to be heard. Kakashi felt stunned where he was, unable to move. And if it was so bad on him, Gato started to tremble as he felt himself losing control of his bodily fluids. His whole body was petrified as the screams seemed like they were gritting into his very being. He wanted to run away, but he could not. That is when one of the fractures in space itself, an arm came out. This arm had nails that were long as plyboard. The arm itself was humongous, covered in cuts, torn apart. It slammed down on the bridge and grabbed a handful of them as it pulled them. They scream and hail and wail. That was enough for the others to run away, but unfortunately though, at the end of the bridge, space itself seemed to shatter once again as the ocean became red with blood. Fishes, sharks, all kind of water creatures started to die. The wind started to howl. The air started to tremble. A red substance, a aura, spread from the fracture in space and flew into this reality. It started to cause all sorts of problems. The support beams on the bridge suddenly snapped as the wire that was tied down with so many force released. When it whipped back, it decapitated hundreds, wiping their head clean off. The others dropping to the ground in fear, when suddenly, the bridge started to break. Just that section though. It then broke apart. Gato jumped as he gripped onto the part that was still hanging there. As his man fell, the water swirled. It became so violent as the hand once again came through, and this time it plunged into the water. The water became hot as the man started to scream. Their bones, their flesh started to boil. It was at that moment Naruto pulled his head out of the rift that he broke in space itself. What he was doing was not anything related to chakra. After all, when he first met the being of chaos itself, he was told that he would acquire magic. And this was magic. But this wasn't like any other magic that was ever seen anywhere ever. This was chaos magic, mixed with Naruto's own personal touch. Chaos, darkness, twisted nature, the very opposite of law and nature itself. The true outlaws and abomination of reality. Things that were supposed to never see the light of day. Naruto slowly was gaining more and more grasp. And he was still nowhere close in controlling what chaos truly was. The very definition was something that would leave you brain dead. It was hard to even understand. However, Naruto was created, it seemed, for the sole purpose. His body blending perfectly with chaos itself, making him a being beyond reason and understanding. Gato was struggling to climb up as Naruto was standing there looking at him. Naruto knelt down. As he reached a hand out, Gato, in fear of his life, tried to take the hand, but when Naruto grabbed his hand, as he thought that he was safe, Naruto started to mutter words under his breath, words that Gato couldn't understand. The center of Naruto's hand, a pentagram appeared. As he placed his hand on Gato's forehead, the pentagram burned into his skull, literally scarring his skull. Gato's face then started to twist and turn as movement started to be seen under his skin. Blood started to run down the side of his eye, his ears, and his mouth. When suddenly, he looked down to his chest as he screamed. An abomination. That was the only word that could describe this thing. It was a serpent, but it did not look like a snake. Its face was grotesque and truly horrific. It ate its way through his chest, causing Gato to fall, ending the tyranny once and for all. Naruto pulled himself up, returning back to normal as he turned to the petrified Kakashi Hatake. Seems like I made a mess of the bridge. Guess I'm gonna have to apologize, he said, with a friendly smile. Time skip. Upon arriving, everything was already over. Kakashi would not tell them what happened, but what they need to know was Gato was dead. It didn't matter that a part of the bridge was destroyed in the process. They were finally free. Iniri cried tears of joy as he hugged Naruto when he arrived, hearing that he was the one that put an end to his tyranny, because Naruto had made Iniri a promise. All of them were so overjoyed. They singed his name. They cried his name, so grateful for what he had done. However, Kakashi was the only one now, and again to witness the true horrors that Naruto had forged in order to do this. And it left the man scarred. Throughout his entire years of being a shinobi, Kakashi has never been scarred this much after losing the two important people in his life. After his father, of course. After losing Ren and Obito, Kakashi never thought that he would be put in a position where he was repulsed so much that his mind felt like it wanted to shut down. As he was put in a state where he was petrified. Despite not even having his Sharingan activated, the images were burned into his mind, as Naruto seemed to have broken space itself. But that shouldn't be possible. He had to remember everything though, so that he could tell Minato every single thing. Returning back to the Hidden Leaf, Naruto returned as a hero. The people at the Land of Wave, they called him their hero. They even named the bridge after him. They stayed there for another extra month, and Naruto was the kindest and most pure person. He was so kind, he was so respectful. Kakashi sat in front of Minato. The team was just dismissed. As Kakashi was just sitting there, the mission debriefing was very simple. There was no detail that was too horrific. I suppose a lot happened that I need to know of, said Minato. Kakashi swallowed thickly. What's wrong? Minato asked, as he saw the look. He's come to read that eye very well over the past couple of years. The horrified look just from that eye alone. Meanwhile, home sweet home, said Naruto. He had a fantastic time out of the village. It was truly wonderful. He's done so much, he thought to himself. However, Naruto saw his mother as she was coming from his little cell. He paused, surprised. Mother, he said, with a smile on his face. Kushina froze up, as she did not even fully turn at first. I suppose you haven't heard yet, he said, with a cheery, friendly tone. The people of the Land of Wave has named me their hero. They even named their bridge after me. I saved them. I defeated their oppressors, and I bring all of them peace and prosperity. And now they're all happy living their life. It's such a wonderful feeling, said Naruto. Well, it was lovely seeing you again. It's been a long time, he said to her. But I'm really tired, so I'm just gonna turn in, he said, walking by her. Kushina did not speak throughout any of that. She just stood there. When Naruto finally passed her, she watched him, her gaze situated on him. Only him alone, as she just looked at him and watched him. As Naruto made his way towards his cell, as he curled up inside and simply went to sleep. Kushina slowly made her way as she peeped inside, watching him, his dark hair covering most of his face, as he fell asleep immediately. She wanted to say something. She desperately wanted to say something, but she had chosen not to. She had simply remained quiet, even as he greeted her with such respect. And what was this about the Land of Wave? She wanted to ask him more. She wanted to say something. Despite everything they went through. Things are different now, right? She told herself. He was trying to make an effort, shouldn't she? As she stepped forward, Minato's voice rung through her mind, making her pause. She decided that She was going to find out more about his mission. Later that night, wake up. Naruto opened his eyes as Minato was standing in front of his cell. Hello there, father, said Naruto. Minato pulled a chair as he sat down. You're going to tell me everything that you did at the Land of Wave. Hadn't Sensei told you about that? He did tell me a bit, so don't bother lying. But I want to know how you did what you did. Your techniques, your attacks. Oh, well, if that's all. Well, Naruto started to explain. The more he did, the more grotesque everything sounded. But he did so without hesitation, telling Minato everything that he did. First, the cursed snake that strangled and bit Zabuza's throat open. He then manipulated the enemy by using his blood. Minato wanted to know if it was similar to what he did to Kakashi, and Naruto said yes. However, it helps a lot when the enemy mind is a lot weaker and quickly able to manipulate. On the bridge, he simply cast a spell, as he come to call it. A spell that was able to use chakra to manipulate certain circumstances. What Kakashi saw was actually fake. Naruto explained. The shattering of space was just him using chakra to a degree that he could literally create things in mid-air, and the arm was just a creation of chakra. He strangled them with chakra. Yes, Minato was shocked. If that was the case, Naruto had such an excellent control over his chakra, it was truly impressive. How did you learn all of this? And the tree walking and the water walking, tell me. I want to know everything. Well, most of it I came up with myself. As for the tree walking and the water walking, I saw ninjas hopping from roof to roof. So I tried to mimic it, and it wasn't hard. As Minato just started to realize that Naruto was some kind of prodigy. Yes, he was. Because of everything, he did not see it, but Naruto was a prodigy who could use his chakra, not to mention that strange cursed power that he possessed, that chaotic power mixed with his chakra to bring things that weren't there. Minato got up as he left. A part of him felt shameful. A part of him understood his reasons, but there was another tiny part that he chose to block out, as he did not even say goodbye. As Naruto went to bed once again, with a smile on his face, as he had gotten his meal earlier from Lucy, who greeted him rather pleasantly as well. Well, it was the complete opposite. Time skip. His name started to spread more and more. Hearing what happened, it was a shocking realization as Naruto simply speak what was on his mind. It went around that he defeated Zabuza Momochi, as many people wanted to know if that was true. Finding out that it was truthful, they were beyond shock. He was supposed to be a genin. Menma was not happy about that, as people started to whisper that he was surprisingly talented. And Menma was not pleased. Not at all. Time skip. Constantly busting his ass, pushing himself over and over again, because he was destined to be great. He had a certain image that he had to live up to. His mother was an amazing kunoichi, well known for her sword skills as well. His father was a goddamn Hokage, a hero if there ever was one. He was their son. He had so much to live up to. There was so much that people expected from him. And he constantly pushed himself over and over, trying to control the power that was inside of him, trying to up his own skills. And now, he heard whispers of people talking about how good Naruto was. That made him so angry. The very thought of it pissed him off. Mito, on the other hand, she did not take much stock into that, nor did she really focus on anything that was being said about Naruto. She tended to simply block out majority of what was going on revolving around him. given of their past interaction and what he tried to do. She wasn't really as obsessive as Minma was, so she wasn't one to really lock onto something. As the time flew by, and the Jennings started to gain more and more experience, the Chunin exams was back once again. At the moment, Naruto could be seen as he calmly made his way down the street, his hands in his pocket. He was wearing a dark hoodie with the hood down. It had long sleeves. He had on black gloves, black pants, and sandals. As he calmly made his way down the street with a skip in his step. It has been 5 months since he became a genin, and he had to say it was marvelous. Over that time, many had seemed to fall for his act. His name was being talked about. Team 7 had went on numerous missions, some of them going a bit overboard. However, they always came back alive. They seemed to be rather lucky. Throughout that time, Naruto had accomplished a lot. Harnessing chaos itself was not easy. Despite chaos being linked to him, harnessing the full magnitude of chaos was not easy. In fact, it was incredibly difficult. He had lied a lot. Yes, he had. Regarding several things that he had done, including lying to Minato about what he did had to do with chakra. It had nothing to do with chakra at all, as Naruto was cooking up something rather big, and he couldn't wait for the time to expose it. And the Chunin exams was that exact time. He made his way until he heard some ruckus. Naruto glanced down the alleyway as he saw a young boy and his friends being hassled by ninjas not from this village. Naruto made his way down there to see the commotion that was taking place. He did not know who the child was. Wait, on closer inspection, he's seen this boy before. Ah, he remember. He's the grandson of the dead Hokage, the one that sealed the beast in Mito, and Minma as well. As Naruto arrived, Odon and Mogi turned as they saw him. Immediately, they looked rather fearful. To them, and to many, they still heard the terrifying stories that happened with Naruto around, that he was cursed, some sort of monster. So yes, they were fearful, as they backed away from him, as he simply eye-smiled at them. Kankuro and his sister Temari glanced over. Tuh, another one. They seem to just be spawning out of nowhere. You do realize that we're in Konoha, right? Temari said, chastising her brother for being an idiot on that stupid remark. Of course he would see Konoha people. They were in Konoha, as Naruto slowly made his way towards them. I don't think what you're doing is rather nice. I mean, he's just a child, Naruto said. Kankuro snarled. Mind your goddamn business before I turn you into one of my victims, Kankuro said, trying to act like a bully and be all big in front of Naruto, as he still held Konohamaru. Temari was not feeling a good feeling from this boy. There was something. Having dealt with Gaara her entire life, having watched as he changed from a young boy that she loved to a murdering psychopath, something was just giving her bad vibes. So, you, a sand ninja, is making problems within my village and attacking the grandson of the late third Hokage. Kankuro was shocked to hear that. Before he could say anything, Naruto moved, not giving a damn about Konohamaru, just knowing that he was justified in doing this. Blood flew from Kankuro's mouth as Naruto slammed his hand in his gut. Not by the palm, but by his fingers. It was almost like he stabbed him with his hand. The force was enough to topple Kankuro down to his knees. as he spat up blood. His stomach was aching as the pain spread. Temari immediately pulled for her fan. However, Naruto vanished. She felt a cold, chilling sensation creeping up behind her. "Hey, I like your hair," he said. She spun and lashed her fan out, but she hit nothing but air. Before she could move, she felt the hand at her throat, about to rip it clean open, his nails as long and sharp. As he placed it on the tip of her throat, the mere action caused her throat to bleed just slightly. Her life was nearly just taken away in an instant. The only reason why she's still drawing breath was actually because of Gaara. Because Naruto glanced up. Yes, stopping his momentum as he looked up. Gaara was in the tree, immediately covered in sand as he reappeared, down in front of them. His gaze did not even look at his siblings. Instead, his entire focus was put on Naruto. As he stepped forward, "Who are you?" he said. Naruto disengaged, removing his hand from Temari's neck, as she quickly jumped away, holding on to her throat. As she took several deep breaths in and out, she thought she was going to die. She didn't see the transition. One moment he was talking so calm and nice, and then he turned so quickly. Who the hell was this guy? Naruto was inches away from Gaara, which was strange because the sand wasn't attacking. Being a bit taller than Gaara, Naruto was looking down at him slightly as he smiled. "Those eyes, I know them rather well," Naruto said. His demeanor then changed. "By the way, my name is Naruto Namikaze. It's a pleasure to meet you," he said, without extending a hand. "I hope I get to see you within the Chunin exams. It seems like it's going to be much more fun than I thought," he said with a big smile before casually walking away, as Kankuro was just picking himself up, holding on to his stomach as Gaara watches Naruto leave. Time skip. "Hey there, guys." He arrived with a smile on his face. Sakura and Sasuke had no trouble with him. He was always so nonchalant, so uncaring about most things. They have went on numerous missions. The strange part about it was, he even saved her life. As Sakura wondered if he was really that bad. After having a conversation with her friend Mito, the thought in her mind was reinforced that he was a monster. As Naruto arrived, "Let's go," he said, as they made their way inside, needing him for the exams. Upon entering, they arrived towards the second floor. However, the exam was to be on the third floor, right? Naruto said to himself as he spoke out loud, noticing the participants. Sasuke wanting to prove something as he stepped forward. He made a rather deliberate speech about dropping the genjutsu, which aggravated the keeper at the gate. However, a boy clad in a green clothing was able to stop the both of them. He held their kicks with ease. He was definitely something alright. The one to focus on them was Neji Hyuga. Neji Hyuga, alongside his Team 9, gazed focus on Naruto. He knew exactly who he was, as he heard the rumors. However, given his structure and his facial features, Neji didn't see a psychopathic killer in front of him, as his feelings seemed to be a rather casual genuine. However, the eyes could always be deceiving if he was correct, as Neji did not make a comment. Team 7 headed off. However, Lee arrived to challenge Sasuke. Naruto sat on the ground as he waited until Might Guy arrived, interrupting said battle. Guy spared Naruto a glance, as he heard a lot as well, but Guy did not treat Naruto any differently. When they arrived, they saw their sensei Kakashi, as he wished them good luck. Upon stepping into the room, immediately Sakura froze up, as they were hit with a wave of killer intent. every participant looking at them, trying to cower them down, as they were some of the youngest here. All eyes were on them. Killer intent was hitting from every corner. That is when Naruto started to laugh. He started to laugh rather loud, as his face seemed so fun and rather humorful when suddenly all of that changed when his eyes opened up. Seeing that he shut his eyes while he was laughing, the whole place changed. Not just that, from starting out from Naruto's body, there was a wave that changed the entire place. The ceiling became a hellish sky that seemed to be burning itself. The ground seemed to be a thick, lumpy swamp that was trying to swallow them all. Whispers of demons and ghosts and creatures. Sight that no one has ever even seen before. The very example of chaos itself, as everything was being torn or ripped apart. Many immediately collapsed, their mind not being strong enough to withstand the strain. They collapsed unconscious, the others barely clinging on, when suddenly everything went back to normal. As Naruto smiled, looking at each and every one of them. Everyone was freaked the hell out. Gaara and his siblings stood there, having more experience than most. Gaara first tail beast the other two, as they have went on numerous missions and faced numerous foes. They were able to cling on. However, they were sweating. This was even worse than Gaara, Tamara told herself. Whoever that person was, he was clearly not human. There was no way human can produce a feeling like this, as she looked around the room. While that was going on in the viewing room, the Jonins were all standing there with a shocked look on their face, as they were watching everything. He took them all out, with just his intent alone. That's impossible. Well, when you realize who we're dealing with, you shouldn't be surprised. They do refer to him as a cursed child after all, Asuma said, as Kakashi was rather quiet, simply watching everything on the screen. It was around a quarter of the participants that had passed out. Back in the room, Naruto felt something rather intriguing as his gaze was fixated on that thing. The door opened once again, as Menma and Mito, along with their teammate, Ami Uzuki, as they all stood there. The moment Naruto saw them, a grin came on his face as he opened his arms. "Brother and sister," he said, with a happy smile on his face. "It's wonderful to see you too." As he stepped towards the group, immediately Menma stepped forward. "I have no idea why Father will allow you in this exam for you to only bring shame to our family name. But I want you to get one thing straight right here and now. Stay the hell out of my way, or else." As Naruto tilted his head to the side, when another group entered. "Hello there, Ino," he said, completely disregarding what Menma had said, not even looking at him. Menma clenched his fists, stepping in Naruto's path to block his view. "Take your damn eyes off her." Naruto suddenly moved, stepping into Menma's guard. As everyone tensed up, now the brothers were right beside each other. "And what are you gonna do about it?" Naruto whispered in his ear. Immediately, without hesitation, Menma dipped into his weapon pouch, whipping out a kunai. However, Naruto's hand was much faster than his, as Naruto gripped his wrist with incredible force. Menma was not able to move his arm. However, Naruto felt something poking him in the back. It was Mito, a kunai in his back. Her tone serious. "Let go of him. Now." As Naruto felt something rest on his throat. It was Ami, holding a katana in her hand. "My oh my," said Naruto. "Whatever could I have done to be put in this situation?" As Menma was glaring daggers into Naruto's eyes. You know, good teammates should step in and help their comrade, said Naruto, speaking to Sakura and Sasuke. However, they wanted nothing to do with him regarding this situation, it seems. As Naruto merely smiled, he released Menma's grip. There you go, he said. It seems your little friends want you to be quite alright. As Naruto turned, moving, despite the fact that he was pinned by the blade and sword, as he seemed to take no consideration for his own life. So they moved the weapons away. My dear sister, said Naruto, I'm surprised that you would pull a weapon on me. Men might get, but you. I thought you and I shared a bond. Where the hell did you get that from? She said to him. Guess I was just mistaken. And you, said Naruto, as he turned towards Ami. I don't know you, and yet you draw your weapon on me. I must say, I feel belittled. Like you actually believe. Naruto shut his mouth. Sorry. I was getting carried away, he said, as his hand came up and gripped his own face, which was odd. However, it was Shikamaru who noticed something. The veins in the back of his hand were so pronounced. It was like he was struggling. Something wasn't right here. Not at all. Everything was put to an end though when the proctor arrived. As the exam began. Time skip. The exam was a breeze. Nothing too hard to worry about. As the determination to make Naruto give up was something that no one possessed. No one could force him to do anything that he didn't want to do after all. Now they had to face the forest of death. Upon entering with a heaven scroll, the team made their way. There wasn't a tight bond between them. There wasn't any friendship or anything really between them, nothing at all. As Sasuke hated Naruto with all of his being, Sakura was terrified of him, and Naruto, well, they could never tell what he was actually feeling, given his strange personality. That seemed to be caring sometimes, but at the same time, it seemed to be uncaring, which was strange. He then started to walk away. Where the hell are you going? Sasuke said rather angrily. I'll be back soon. There's something I have to deal with. Just stay out of trouble, said Naruto, as he suddenly vanished, shocking the two. Meanwhile, 3 grass ninjas were making their way. None of them were actually grass ninjas. The focus was on the girl in the center. Long black hair as she moved, the hat pronounced on her head. However, her teammates were grabbed by something. She turned as she watched the both of them hanging from a tree, blood running down their throats. Hi there. She jumped away, a shocked look on her face. The fact that he was able to sneak up on her truly and really surprised her. As Naruto was standing there, as her teammates were dead within seconds. My oh my, aren't you the fast one, she said, wondering how he pulled off a feat like that quickly. As Naruto was smiling at her. I know that you're not a genin. You're far more powerful than that. But I have to guess though, because I don't know your true identity. Your power is as strong as a Kage at its fullest. You have the power for a S-rank ninja. You reek of snakes. Not to mention I can see your true eyes. Your illusion cannot hide them from me. The woman seemed rather surprised. So if I have to guess, I would say, you're Orochimaru of the Sannin. Orochimaru was stunned. He didn't want anyone to know that he was here. Minato posed too much of a threat. That is why he was simply here to speak to Sasuke Uchiha. Not to brand him as yet, but to show him what he had to offer. To make him realize that Konoha wasn't going to teach him anything. There's no bother hiding. I know who you are already. But it doesn't really matter. You see, I have this plan. And now, I'm thinking that you're going to play a part in it. Is that so? Oh, don't worry. I don't need you alive for it. What? The Sanin said. You heard me quite clearly. I said I don't need you alive to complete my plan. Actually, I would rather like you to die. I need your corpse, your actual corpse, to use and manipulate. It's a part of my grand scheme. So, would you kindly die for me, said Naruto. The Sanin chuckled, finding Naruto's words humorful. I must say, you are rather arrogant and surprisingly bold. Know that you possess this information. You do know I can't allow you to live, child. Orochimaru said with a smile on his face. So what you really have done in this is simply throw away your life. Because now, I will have to end it, the Sanin said. Naruto started to chuckle until it turned into a full-blown laugh. However, the moment it stopped, Orochimaru felt a shiver ran down his spine. The Sanin was freaked out for the first time in his life. Something wasn't right. In my life. Kill me. Destroy me. You have no idea what you're facing. You think you're dealing with a mere child that is standing in front of you. But let me tell you something. Appearances can be deceiving. Let me show you what I am. You should be honored. You are the first that is able to witness what I truly am. Orochimaru actually stepped back, feeling an intense heat wash over him as he started to sweat. Let me show you the true understanding of chaos itself, Naruto screamed. And all hell broke loose. But guys, the ends up so right here. If you want to see next part and do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But I'm off and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.